In Unit 19, Question 2, we again have a savings account in which we make a deposit at the beginning of each year for 20 years. But unlike the previous question, we don't deposit the same amount each year. Our deposit will be 10% of our salary, and our salary will grow each year. Here's our original salary. If the salary grows 4% per year, as specified in the question, then the next year it will be what it is now, plus 4%. Here's the current year. Here's the next year. We'll continue along in this way until we have 20 years of salary. Here's our salary over 20 years. Each year we'll be depositing 10% of it at the beginning of the year. We take each salary amount and find 10% of it. So here are our deposits each year for the 20 years. Then we take a standard begin and end approach to seeing what the bank balance will be. It starts out at $0 before we make any deposits. At the beginning of each year, it's what it was at the end of the year plus the deposit for that year. And at the end of the year, it's what it is at the beginning plus the interest that we've earned. Over 20 years, here's how it grows. Our final balance is $153,469. Now let's answer the second part of the question. In real life, of course, we would put these 20 different deposits all into the same single savings account. That's what we've calculated here. This one savings account has $153,469 at the end of 20 years. But if we wanted to, each year we could open a new account. The first would have $2,850 deposited at the beginning of the first year, and we would make no more deposits. That money would simply grow to some amount at the end of the years. We'd have a separate account for the $2,964. We'd put that in at the beginning of the second year, and again, just leave it alone to grow. At the end of 20 years, we would have 20 different bank accounts. Of course, the total money would be the same. The total in all 20 accounts would be $153,469. But by separating the accounts this way, we'd be able to tell which grew to a larger amount. The small amount, $2,850, that we put in at the beginning but allowed to grow for a very long time, or the smaller amounts that we put in later, larger amounts that we put in later but that grew for a shorter amount of time. The question asks us in particular about this amount that we put in at the beginning of the first year and this amount that went in at the beginning of the 11th year. Imagine that each of these had gone into its own separate savings account. Here's the $2,850. At the end of 1 year, that would have grown to that amount plus 6%. This is at the end of the first year, and at the end of the 20 years, that single amount, the $2,850, would have grown to $9,140. Notice that in order to get it to grow to 20 years, we need to put it in one row before. That's because we're not using begin and end here. Each transition from the beginning of 1 year to the end of the year is from one row to the next. So we have increased this amount 20 times. Taking the same approach with this amount, the amount we deposited in the 11th year, we can see how it would grow. If it was in its own separate savings account, this amount would grow over a shorter period of time to $7,555.04. So what we learn is that the small amount, $2,850, growing over 20 years, contributes more to our final total than the $4,219 growing over a shorter period.